I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. Because this is Airwindows Verbity2. Now you may wonder what's special about that, and I'll tell you at great length. Verbity was my first plugin to use what's called feedforward reverb topology. And I've been doing a series of reverbs like that, but you can do feedforward reverb topology in a number of different ways. You can do them in sort of banks of 4 delays. In this case, it's using banks of 5 delays. So here we have Verbity original. And what we get with this is 4,000 individual echoes for each sound coming in. And that's not counting feedback, this control that's marked longness. But what we have with this Verbity2, slightly changed labels and things, is banks of echoes in 5s rather than 4s, and more of them. So it goes from 4,000 to 9 million echo returns. My hope is that this will give you a richer texture on your reverb. That's the idea. Note also that I've got Galactic in here, and I can demonstrate what that also sounds like. That is also the sort of Verbity arrangement of having 4,000 combined echoes out of each initial sound. And it is not, or at least not yet, up to the Verbity2 arrangement of the 3 orders of magnitude greater of 9 million echo returns. So if we go back and forth between these, we can have original Verbity, or we can go with Galactic. That's a sort of synthesis, ultra deep, ultra wide Verbity, or Verbity2. Now, I'm going to continue to try to develop these things as I go forwards, but there's one more thing to tell you about Verbity2, and that's what happens in stereo, because we can set up stereo sounds and say if I demonstrate Galactic, Galactic takes sounds from either side and just stereofies everything. Sounds get a double vibrato effect, what's called a quadrature vibrato effect, where it's not the same pitch on each one, to make middle stuff separate out to the sides. It's meant to widen things if you have stuff in the exact middle. Verbity is not like that. Let me show you what Verbity does with the same sound, which is one sound only on one side. Verbity is a dual mono reverb. The sounds that you put into it will only reverberate from the spot where the initial sound was made, and that's on purpose. Verbity was intended to be that way. That's because it's an old trick in studios used for when people wanted to do sort of ambience and not have it just blur all over the stereo field to make things complicated. If you wanted to have like a set of vocals or something, and you wanted them to have a little bit of reverb, like for instance, let's demonstrate. That is a very tight reverb. You add that, and it's not going to blur all over the place, whereas if you had Galactic, you've got sound coming back from everywhere. So Verbity was always meant to make ambiances showing up exactly where you started them. And you can put extra reverb in there, along this, to extend the reverb a lot, but it's still going to build up only in the spot where you started it. However, Verbity changes that, Verbity2 changes that a little bit. Check this out. If you want the original behavior, you can cut sustain down to nothing. And this is your initial ambience being added. You can extend it quite a bit. It's actually a pretty long, thick reverb tail with no sustain, just the raw output of it. Or you can have it be a lot tighter. This mulch control controls how sort of broadband the output is. No mulch means it's kind of really bright and bassy. Full mulch, and you have this sort of vintage sound with a little more depth to it, and also less low frequencies going on. And you can do that if you have the sustain turned all the way down, but the way that Verbity does is not the same as Verbity or Galactic. Verbity, the original, always keeps everything on the side that you created the sound. Galactic always bounces things fully to the other side and sort of stereo choruses them. Verbity2 does this. You've got some of the Verbity behavior where it will continue to bloom on the side that you're at, and some of the Galactic behavior where the continuing sustain will go off towards the other side. Let's put it to the longest room side and demonstrate that. You can hear how it's kind of blooming out to the other side of the room, and then it'll bounce back. The amount to which it does that is very much down to how much sustain you've got in there, how much of the feedback you have going on. So we can have a reverb that has a whole bunch of airy sort of fuzz and everything, and it's sitting mostly on one side of the room, or entirely on one side of the room. But if you keep it feeding back, it's going to go everywhere. So that's Verbity2. We've got a new reverb in town. I think this outperforms everything that I've got, including Galactic. And that's a large claim, but it's using the new technology of the additional echo banks in there. It's using that feed-forward reverb, and the sustain is feedback on the very end of everything, but it's using that feed-forward topology, and it's using echo banks that are 5 wide instead of 4. It's still using a householder reverb matrix. So what you get, instead of, say, this, and again, that's all on one side. I can, if you have a mono signal it will have all of the reverb stuff centering on where the original sound source was. So you can do this, but you can do this. That is the sound of mulch cranked up all the way, or and well, there you have it. Verbity2 is an audio unit and VST plugin, and it's for Mac, Windows, Linux on PC, Linux on Raspberry Pi. I'm compiling them on Raspberry Pi. I'm given to understand some people are having problems running those. Might work on that more in the future. And I really hope that you like Verbity2. But wait, I've been busy doing some other things as well. Check this out. I'm going to be doing music, and this is a tool that I need for doing that. As you can see, it's got my chord sequence thing. The small print on here reads the stuff that I need to know about my chord sequence thing, and on the top we've got tempos, and the little numbers here are what I would type in Reaper in order to change its vary speed to adapt one of these things. Like if you're trying to, I think my basic speed is 120 beats per minute. So if you're trying to make another one of these tempos work like that, you can use these ratios to do it with. I'm using that for some things. By the way, people are interested in having these. I don't know if I want to invest in making physical products, but let me know if you really, really want one of these. I might be able to arrange it. And one more thing. Airwindows is in VCV Rack. That is Galactic. That is thanks to Bacon Paul of the Surge Synthesizer project. You should be able to use the VCV Rack Airwindows module now. It's in the library, and we will try to keep up with new plugins. For instance, I don't know whether when you see this, Verbity2 will be in there, but I have uploaded it to the GitHub and all of that kind of stuff. And the Airwindows plugin automatically includes new stuff. So when I say Airwindows VCV Rack plugin, I mean all the plugins, everything. And you will work with that as best you can with all of these different controls on these. You can do things like, for instance, this is slew being used on CV. If I turn clamping, that's shut. Oh, that's loud. Let's not have that. That is slew. An audio effect being used on CV. Because you can. Because why not? But hey, why don't you use something like, let's say, MV on CV? that is MV. Being used on pitch CV in VCV Rack. Again, thank Paul from Surge Synthesizer Project for walking through this kind of stuff. This is also the technique that I'm going to use to implement clap plugins better, because that's sort of the next thing in line, but you should be able to use that VCV Rack plugin now. And I think there's somebody also working on a cardinal port of that. By all means, I know that there are people in my Facebook audiophiles group that are really hot for that. The one that was immediately available was supporting Rack directly. And so, voila. I'm going to see whether I can't get busy doing my Monday live coding streams and things again. And I'd like to record music again and do these things. Anywho, I hope you like Verbity2. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.